Well, how appropriate that right before Valentine's Day we're going to talk about love. And our title this morning is I Am Love, Lover, and Beloved. I am love, lover, and beloved. This is a common phrase in science of mind. And the truth is that there is nothing else for us to be. And so soak that in. There is nothing else for us to be besides that love. Each individually expressed, granted, but there is nothing else for us to be. Love is the solution to every and any problem. Love is the answer to every question. And so we can simply go inside and very serenely ask ourselves, what would love do in this situation? And every answer is revealed. Have you ever noticed how sometimes that answer is revealed and you're like, no way, no, not that. Yeah, me too. And those are the times when I know what resists persists, and that's exactly what I need to do. Because it came in a peaceful state of being. And so no matter how difficult it is, or no matter how uncomfortable we may feel, I can actually remember the feelings, not the situation, but the feelings for the first time that I sincerely said I'm sorry and took responsibility, instead of just playing the victim and being defensive. I can remember the feelings that I had when I said I was sorry, and it was meaningful. It was a long time ago. We do call love the great reality, and we call it the great reality with good reason. As spirit is all that is, it is the reality. And the word reality means truth. And therefore, all that I am is that. All that you are is that reality of love. And at the same time, we do, each of us, have the opportunity to look at our own life to determine where we may be missing the mark. And that sometimes can be a little bit uncomfortable. We each have the important part of that mental journey. And what it is to understand the truth of who we are. We talked last week about that idea of being enough and what that meant. And today, the realization that there's nothing else that we can be besides love, and how that shows up. Ernest Holmes tells us that the self we see is what we have thought about ourselves, the form we have molded by our thought. Yet the real self is perfection, for spirit could not know anything unlike itself. He writes with such in such a manner that it's like, oh, that is absolutely true, truth. And how's it showing up in my life? We each get to look at that. And this is where we get the phrase, God in man, as man, is man. And I want to broaden that a little bit for us to realize that God in me, as me, is me. I invite you to silently affirm those words within yourself. God, or whatever you choose to call it, in me, as me, is me. And then if you take that idea of God and use love, love in me, as me, is me. Powerful, powerful words for us to say and know every day, and most especially in those times that are a little bit challenging. Last week I told you we took a look at directing our thought toward accepting the idea of being enough. And today we're going to move forward realizing I am love, lover, and beloved.
I like to say that love is the unifying force of the universe. And actually, you know, when you look at the word universe, the Latin meaning, universus, literally means one, turned, or combined. And so therefore, universe actually means coming back to one essence, everything combined as one essence, one idea. And it reminds me of the idea of religion. And the Latin word for religious, religare, means to rebind, to reconnect. So it's an idea of us reconnecting to God, to us going back to the truth of who we are and what we are. And we generally see religion as a distinct belief system that is different from and unique from all the others. And even within religions, there happen to be denominations in each of the other ones that even separated even further. Even Science of Mind was once two organizations that didn't see eye to eye, and I believe maybe that's why Ernest Holmes didn't want us to become a religion in the first place, wanted it to be a spiritual philosophy. I prefer to use the term spiritual traditions rather than religions because although the original nature of the word religion implies coming together as one, not separate into individual sects, it seems that the world now has connotations opposite of its intended meaning. And many religions don't really necessarily appear to be very loving, and they tend to cause more wars than loving connections. Love is wholeness. Love is unity. Love is what connects us. It connects us to God and to each other and to everything else in this life experience. The symbolism of the shepherd in the Bible is bringing the sheep back together, reuniting them into the family, into the whole. The story of Jesus is a representation of God working as love in the world, bringing the world back together again. It's as simple as being love. Just be love. It's really just that simple. And I remember when our kids would have their little sibling rivalries and discussions and chats and fights and things, I could hear Deborah saying, just love each other. Just be loving to each other. Be nice to each other. And the kids would say, that's all you ever talk about, Mom. Love, 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 love. Of course, I'm standing around the corner in the background thinking, yeah, isn't that great? And you look at them today, they're both magnificent, loving individuals and exuding that into the world. So it obviously worked. It works for them. Can it work for all of us? It doesn't always work for them, but generally speaking, when they remember it, yes, it does. It seems kind of a simplistic thing to say, but really, you know, it's the fundamental nature of reality. That's what love is. It's really bigger than we quite often think of it to be. It's more than a romantic sentiment. It's the full nature and operation of God. It's the full nature and operation of the universe. Erwin Schrödinger was a great quantum scientist. He said the total number of minds in the universe is one. In fact, consciousness is a singularity phasing within all beings. Kind of twisty thing to say, isn't it? But at the same time, think about this. The total number of minds in the universe is one. One mind, one life, of which we all participate. Consciousness is a singularity, one, phasing within all beings. It's unity within multiplicity. So we could say that this is a perfect scientific definition of spiritual principle. Couldn't we? We could maybe even say this is the perfect scientific definition of love. Think about it. That's what it's all about. Ernest Holmes says the road to self-discovery often calls for a clearing away of underbrush of ignorance, fear, superstition, tough word for me to say, superstition, and sense of isolation, which have made us feel that we are unworthy, unheld, and lost. And I'll add to that list, separated. We're Because no, we are none of those things. We're not separated. We're not unloved. We're not unheld. We're not unworthy. We are love. If God is love, as Deborah said, and we are, then all we can possibly be is love. Our purpose in this life is to connect with others and all sentient and insentient beings. And that is literally just being love.
And yet, don't you find that there are times when you do feel separate in our human self? We maybe feel lonely or alone or out of the inner circle of the group, or having a different idea makes us feel weird or strange or different, or whatever the words would be for you. I know that happens to me from time to time. And it's comforting to know that we can return our attention and quiet our mind from all those things that are of the outer, quiet our mind to the knowing that there is only one, the knowing of that heart space. And in that one, I don't know about you, but there have been times when I've felt separate from another human being, not physically, but emotionally, and going into that place of oneness, that connection is fully alive. And I can make that connection in my own mind, regardless of where the person is physically or emotionally in their own mind. I can make it for me. And it's a great feeling, an incredible feeling. So if love is the great reality, then hate is the great negation. In Science of Mind, we do not deny that there are hateful words and actions that occur in the world. We do say that just like the sun dissolves the darkness, love conquers hatred. Love conquers hatred. We say that hate destroys until love heals. And heal it does. It is a return of our attention to that lovingness, that loving being. And knowing that if God is all that is, then I am that. And remembering, so is what appears to be that other person, or that other group, or those other people. So in gymnastics, when you dismount or complete a stunt, you are told to stick your landing. I had to stick my landing better. And what that means is that you have to focus all your attention on how you land in that moment and keep a complete, perfect balance. And I suspect that that's the same that we each have to do as we practice being a loving human being in this world. To live our truth, to stand as a beacon of love, regardless of stormy weather or sunny skies, we must stick our landing. We must become so focused on truth, on spirit, on love, that no one and nothing can knock us off balance. It's solid, it's sturdy, it's secure, it's faith. The power of love breaks down barriers, it shatters walls, and love always reigns triumphant. So we, in our humanness, may find that we have to do a little house cleaning. We have to clean up any negative, habitual ways of thinking that we may have. And that's okay. It's okay, and actually it's a good thing, that we want to clean house. Because we don't want to put ourselves down for past belief systems. We don't want to shame ourselves because we've had some thoughts of hatred flicker past in our mind. And what we have to do is just begin right where we are to clean house. Because thoughts of hatred do a lot of harm. I tell my students, it begins with you guys, and it filters out into the world. And that's how wars are started. It begins with us cleaning up our own thinking. And the harm that it does is mostly to you, because you are the thinker of the thought. So instead of allowing the thoughts, or what I realized I did many years ago was suppress the thoughts, because that would be me being a bad girl, I would have a thought and go, oh my gosh, nope, I didn't think that, not me, I'm a good girl. But over time, and once I got into meditation and mindfulness and reality of life, I realized that instead of pressing those naughty guys down when they would come up, I could actually look at them. And instead of feeling shame, I could feel grateful that it came to mind, came into my conscious mind enough so that I could find a way to eliminate it. Now I'm going to give you an example, but I'll tell you, 20 years ago I wouldn't have told you something like this about myself. But I'm going to give you an example because I suspect that the way life works is once somebody else is willing to say they thought something terrible, then other people are a little more open to doing it for themselves. So when I was growing up, someone in my life repeatedly said to me, don't get fat and ugly. Well, you can well imagine that that meant that I identified fat and ugly as a union. And so when I became an adult and got into meditation and the realization that I was absolute love, I had to clean house. And one day when I caught that thought of thinking that someone was fat and ugly, I thought, okay, I'm not going to suppress it this time, I'm going to deal with it and I'm going to change it because it's not the reality. It is what I learned as a child because I heard it so often. And I took it on and it influenced me and it affected my life and the way I think and see. And so I know we all do things in a different way, and I encourage you to find your best ways that work for you. But for me, it's to turn it into a song. And so, you can give me a note, David? No? Okay. It might go too low, but everyone is beautiful in their own way. Under God's heaven, the world's gonna find a way. And suddenly, another great phrase from Science of Mind. What I was looking at, whether it was myself in the mirror or someone else, I was looking with. I became the recognition of my own loving self to no longer identify fat and ugly, but to see beauty, to look into the soul of humanity, and to see beauty regardless of form. Not important.
So what you're being is what you're experiencing. So the question is, are you being love? I know whenever I'm in conflict, I'm experiencing a sense of twoism, oneness, or two-ness, not oneness. And I experience a sense that we are connected in one idea. And so therefore I'm feeling separate, I'm feeling opposition to my side or that side. There are no sides in unity. There are no sides in love. It's just one thing. Love is one entity. I had this, I heard something really great this week about artificial intelligence. I don't know if you know this, but you can use artificial intelligence and you can use like a computer or a device or something and you can put in a particular criteria and it will write an article or a sermon for you. We're
No
not going to do that. But, well, it will take these words and these thoughts and these ideas that you put into it. It'll actually write a complete article about that, or a speech or something. And so somebody used an AI device, and they directed it to read the Bible and define the predominant meaning of the Bible in just one sentence. Interesting idea, isn't it? What do you think that one sentence was?
God is love.
Love one another.
Pretty close.
Be love.
Love one another. That's what the artificial intelligence defined as the entire meaning of the Bible. Love one another. Show and be love to those around you. There are four, it caused me to do some more research, of course, so I love doing this. There are four basic words for love in the Bible, and they come from the Greek: eros, storge, philia, and agape. And they're characterized by romantic love, family love, brotherly love, and God's divine love. And by the way, love is mentioned in the Bible 310 times. Well, the word love is mentioned in the Bible 310 times. Eros love is romantic love, and it's that attraction or connection of love that we celebrate at this time of the year for Valentine's Day. It's the love we feel towards one another, that attraction and connection. Once again, we have a magnetism pulling us together, holding us together. So love is the energy that holds us together. Storge is affectionate love, especially like the love between parents and children. Everybody knows there's a strong connection between parents and children that cannot be broken. It contains a lot of natural empathy. Philia refers to the love experienced between close friends or brothers. It's often referred to as brotherly love, and it has a lot of sense of patriotism in there. Agape love is the stuff you hear about in church. It's unconditional love and refers to love that God is. And it's reminding us that God's people are to follow the example and demonstration, the same kind of love, show the same kind of love to others around us, and to be that love. And by the way, while I was doing this research, I found that I uncovered that the most common phrase in the Bible is, "Be not afraid." So isn't that interesting? That the Bible's talking about being love, but the most common phrase in the Bible is, "Be not afraid." So I'm trying to figure out, how does I contemplated on this for a while? How do those things come into alignment? Well, it's right in the saying, be not afraid. Fear is a feeling of separation, isolation, helplessness. And so the saying is, don't be afraid, be not afraid. And so therefore, if we're not going to be afraid, what are we going to be? Let's turn around and look at the opposite. We're looking for connection, support, love. Are we not? So the opposite of be not afraid is, or same sentence for be not afraid is, be love. It's really just that simple. And we know that giving love and opening ourselves to receive love can sometimes feel pretty vulnerable because we don't feel we're enough, we don't feel like we're worthy. Oh, that's because we don't know our truth. We're not feeling the oneness. We're not connecting to the oneness of love, the connective ability of that. So basically, just don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be love.
Yes, and we realize how very loved we are as we engage our relationship with the divine. Divine love makes itself known to us as we love, as we share, we experience that feeling and that essence of love. And it feels incredible as it moves through us. And we experience the reality of one life. For the greatest love is freely given. Ernest Holmes wrote, "Every act of human affection and love, of generous giving and receiving, of kindly relations with others, is an extension of the spirit of life flowing through us. Life is the great giver, and we, each one of us, is the distributor."